Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone is well. We're gonna get started now. I just want to make sure you guys can hear my sound and the video is okay. Quality is okay for the stream. Um, if the voice is okay, if the quality is okay, just let me know saying yes. If you let me know, it would be nice to know, and then we can get started. Can anyone on TradingView to just confirm with me that the sound is okay? Just a yes would be nice, and the quality, the stream is all good. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. Hi all. Good, good. Alright, so let's get started now, guys. Um, Hope everyone is well. So nice to see a lot of familiar faces once again. So welcome to this week stream market update or weekly outlook. I kind of show everyone what I was looking at for the week ahead. I updated that in Telegram just now. A few pairs I was looking at. Um, I'll go over all these pairs. If you see anything else that you want me to take a look, we'll talk about that later. But these are the ones that I'm looking out for the week ahead. And I'm still focusing on a lot of Aussie Kiwi pairs. I think few yen pairs needs a little bit more development. And I do see the dollar is kind of weakening. Okay, it's weakening, so potential reversals on them. We'll go over any of these, and indices are looking a little bit more indecisive. So I'll go over those as well. Looks like some are bullish and some are bearish. And crypto is looking a little bit bullish to me, so we'll take a look into those. All right. So as always, I'm gonna go over just to quickly go over the current live position I have. If you guys watch my recap from on weekend, I'm just in one trade only, one position, which is Aussie Kiwi. So I'm still live on this one right now. As you can see, I have one scaling position and one initial entry, so they're just running okay right now. First position about 2%. Second position still at break even, just like what I update everyone in the recap video. So I'm happy to hold through. I'm happy to kind of just hold through whatever correction that it's going to develop here. I am still really, my bias here is still looking for the upside, right? Now I saw a lot of people posting short, posting bearish reversal, things like that. That's fine, right? Follow through with your plan, what other people think. But as from my perspective, I still like what I see from the higher time frame. We see these kind of play out a lot of times in the past. If we just kind of zoom out here, most of these similar price action that we have seen in the past, they basically always work out to that bullish reversal that we are potentially see. So it's very normal for price to form a consolidation like this after such a strong move from the downside earlier, right? So about 180 pips. So it's naturally for the price to correct here. So I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, is this going to turn into a bearish now? Well, it's certainly in a correctional structure, right? This is certainly what we're seeing here, which is definitely what we want to see. If we want to see further upside opportunity, we want to see further bullish activity from the price, and this is what you want to see, consolidation, right? You want to see consolidation here because chances are we're going to get another upside from this consolidation. And the consolidation here developed because there's probably people who are looking for short, and that's why it's consolidating. But if we have the higher time frame bias, we have the lower time frame bias, I'm perfectly fine just holding through the position, looking to see this correction finish and looking for another upside from the price. All right, so that is the only position right now. You can see just these two entries on the same position, and we'll see how it goes in this week. But in terms of management, I have everything as it is from the recap, right? My second entry is still at -1, and my first initial entry is at +1. So basically, if this trade was to not work out, and I would just be at break even, right? Perfectly fine. I'm happy to take that result. But if the trade does work out, if the trade does push up to the upside, like what most of us are looking at, then I will have two position running close to 12%. Okay, so it's a perspective thing, it's your management thing, and most important is controlling your mindset, right? So that is Aussie Kiwi. Any question here, guys? If not, let's go into the outlook for the week ahead. All right, so let's take a look at a few pairs. The few pairs I want to go over are pairs like dollar pairs. Now, if you watch what I post here, I mentioned about few dollar pairs are looking a little bit more weakened. That means there might be some reversal opportunity, especially euro dollar and pound dollar. Last week on Thursday, if you guys recall, I did this Q&A section Q&A with you guys, and euro dollar and pound dollar was the one that point out, right? And I remember we talked about this on that day, and I post the euro dollar and pound dollar chart. Let me just try to find it here. Right, this is the pound dollar chart, and this is let me find the euro dollar one. Sorry, this is euro dollar and this is pound dollar. Anyways, I'm pointing out this one because this is basically what we're talking about on Thursday, right? If you guys can see, is that a lot of down move here, and then people are asking me, well, is this going to continue down more and more and more? Well, this is what we're basically potentially see, right? If we don't get that bearish continuation, then a bullish reversal is very, very likely, judging by what we are in the structure. And it's the same as pound dollar here. Pound dollar had that drop, and I mentioned if there's no bearish continuation here, then a bullish reversal is quite likely. And if we look at where euro dollar and pound dollar are now, they basically did exactly kind of what we said, right? We instead of seeing bearish continuation here, we get that bullish reversal, right? This is clearly from a sign that there is an inverse head and shoulder, and then looks like there's bullish activity. And same as pound dollar here. Pound dollar had that really sharp drop, but there's no bearish continuation. Instead is a bullish reversal. So basically what I predicted here on last Thursday, and this could easily lead to us a potential upside for these euro dollar and pound dollar positions, just kind of eyeing for a potential entry, which we will talk about today. I thought I'd bring this up because this is just, again, patient, right? Because I get people messaging me, unfortunately, that they were looking for sell here, or they entered the sell without confirmation, and they obviously took some losses here as the price is basically reversing up in a bullish point of view. So this is why we wait for confirmation, guys. You have to wait for continuation correction to confirm your bias if you are looking for a downside bias, and you need to wait for confirmation, right? Instead of just entering there without anything, and that's a lot of FOMO in my opinion. If you enter trades that without confirmation, I think you have to work on that side of the emotion, because that is what traders lose money when there is no setup developing. All right, so that's continue here, dollar index, right? Now, I'm going to go over the pairs that I'm looking at. So if you guys have any pair you want me to look at, feel free to let me know. Feel free to let me know by typing what pairs you're looking at, and make sure you type in long or short so I can take a look at your perspective or what direction you're looking at. So feel free to type in whatever you're looking at. I will see if I can get to all of them. But I do have a few dollar pairs I want to go over, a few yen pairs that I will see for development, and Aussie Kiwi pairs, which is always going to be on my watch for the last few weeks already. So feel free to let me know, and then I will take a look as I get to it in order. Now we'll look at dollar index here because we talk about the dollar may be losing strength, right? And this is kind of how I'm looking at the dollar pair now, is that we have this double top here currently in the price, and we have this kind of a, I could say this as more of a, you can say more of a ascending structure or more kind of an expanding structure, but whatever it is, we are clearly seeing the signs of a correction that's in the making, right? And we're still in this larger correction that we have the downside for. So all this is good news or good perspective or good development that we're seeing from the price. Now we are basically seeing some reversal opportunity here, right? You can see that if we zoom in really closely, and this is the, I guess, the beauty about looking price action is that you are seeing a head and shoulder here, right? Even though it's a little bit odd, it's not as something that we are used to see, but this is a sign from the market that we are getting this reversal. We push down for the price, we form a continuation, and we're pushing down more. So again, when you do your chart work, when you do your analysis, this is what you need to do because this confirms everything we just talked about for a potential weakness in the dollar, right? And it's looking like we're pushing down more and more and more now, right? So this is the good news. So what we want to look for is, are we going to get continuation bearish price action? This is basically what we want to see because that will confirm everything we see from the lower time frame as well as everything we see on the higher time frame as well, right? So this kind of confirms the overall bias here for a potential downside as well. So looking out for something like this during the week, or maybe you push down here and then a bigger correction like this, potentially forming another head and shoulder, and then eventually push down lower in the next week or so. But this could start off the dollar weakness. All we have to see now is how this week will develop. Are we going to get further downside from the price? If it is, this can confirm euro dollar and pound dollar as well, right? Euro dollar is certainly looking like we can have some bullish view, and we know dollar index and euro dollar looks pretty identical, right? This is dollar index inverse related. This looks exactly like euro dollar that we just talked about earlier for a potential upside. Hello everyone, nice to see you guys. Yeah, I will go over all the pairs, not a problem. In order though, if you watch my watch list, I'm just gonna go in order here. I'll quickly talk about Aussie dollar because Aussie dollar does look like there's something developing here. Looks like we're just creating a bigger structure here, right? Originally, I had the structure drill like this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I took a long here and end up with the loss. Now it's basically just forming into a bigger consolidation, but the overall price action, it doesn't change, right, guys? We're still seeing this as an inverse head and shoulder, and on the higher time frame here, we can still see that this is like the structure that's currently developing. I like that we have some bullish activity here. If we go down to the lower time frame, it looks like we are having a clear impulse out, and this could be a correction here. Now, to be safe here, I think another push up here followed by correction would be ideal to see if we can eventually push the price up higher. And that will confirm the overall inverse head and shoulder as well, what we talked about, I think, from a week ago. This is something, one of the dollar pair I'll be looking out for. Now, the main ones I will be looking out for is definitely euro dollar. So if we look deeply here, guys, in the euro dollar, is that if we look at how the price has been developing now, right? This is the current price that we are currently seeing. Now we have this higher time frame overall structure here, right? This is basically what we talk about for many weeks now, right? There's a few buy position that we all took. We had that bullish up move on the price, but just didn't continue further, right? But all that is that, guys, we're just creating or expanding into a bigger correction, which is what we talk about is correction sometimes can continue to develop. This was once what we saw here. If you guys all recall the trade that a lot of us took for this buy here, where we were looking at for buy here to continue, right? Most of us caught this buy move here, and I was looking to see if this is going to be further upside, but instead it had a really sharp reversal down. But all that's showing us is that instead of the current correction seeing it this way, all we do is now is just expanding into a bigger correction, but nothing changes, right? Nothing changes from the higher time frame because the higher time frame still looks like that we're in this larger correction, and we just expanded this part of the correction, and we had a really nice kind of a descending structure pushing down the price. And again, this is the previous low, the previous low as well, right? So I think this is a very good idea to look for a bullish up move here because it's looking quite clean here for that bullish reversal up move, and I like everything I see here in the lower time frame, and I like what I'm seeing here on the higher time frame as well. So maybe some of you guys already going on this, right? This potentially is an entry here. This is an inverse head and shoulder. That's quite clear. So if you might be able to get in here if that fits your plan. I think a better way is either a consolidation here or a clear breakout from the price here and then continuation here after. I think that is also the safer bet, and you do have quite a bit risk reward here if you're looking for a long move from here, right? This is similar kind of buy here that a lot of us got in as well. So definitely be watching out for this entry here if it does develop. I think this looks quite clean, just like what we have seen in the past. So that's euro dollar. Let's take a look at pound dollar here. Seems like someone. Let's talk about pound dollar here because pound dollar clearly had some good reversal opportunities, right? This looks like it's a clean bullish reversal. Originally, we had that price drop down quite a bit, right? This was quite a sharp move here. When I see price like this, it's definitely no longer bearish. Okay, this is quite clear from the price is that instead of continuation, just remember this how big of a sharp move correct and sharp move down. Naturally, people will be thinking this could be a bearish continuation, but clearly that's not what we're seeing here, guys. This is a sign from the market when you see something like this. Okay, this basically tells you that this is also an inverse head and shoulder, right? It's quite clear how the price is developing here. Instead of bearish continuation, which we are used to see, clean bullish reversal up move, and it kind of aligns up with the overall price that we're seeing on a higher time frame, because this is now the current correction. It looks a little bit like euro dollar's correction, and we're still in this kind of a larger correction that we're seeing here on pound dollar as well. And this bullish up move is still kind of correcting within this larger structure. So seeing a bullish up move here kind of aligns up with what with the overall bullish price action. So I'll definitely be looking for further upside if we can get correction here or something like that, or a deeper consolidation, which is nice as well. But that basically is going to be your confirmation to look for another up move up, right? Whether or not this is going to break out of the structure here and then continue, or it might just hit the pop here and reverse down. But I think there is room for this bullish up move and it basically align up with the overall price. Now I get these questions a lot, and I thought I'd answer it here, is that a lot of times people are looking opposite directions, and people often think there's a right and wrong associated with it. Try to think more than that, right? Try to think outside the box. Right, what I'm looking out for is a bullish possibility, which means I'm waiting for bullish confirmation for me to get involved. If a bullish confirmation does not develop, then there's no entry, right? While there's people probably looking for sell opportunity, sure, right? If you're looking for sell opportunities, then you need to wait for your sell confirmation bias, right? If that does develop, then you should execute accordingly. But if the sell bias does not develop, then you should not enter, right? So who's right and who's wrong? Neither of us, right? Remember all this, okay? I'm trying to make you guys to think outside the box, because this tends to be a discussion where some people will be like, well, I think this is buy. And some people will be like, well, I think this is a sell. So try to think more than that, is that, well, if you're looking for buy, make sure you have a development, make sure you have a confirmation, then you act accordingly if the buy setups happen. And if you have a sell bias, then wait for the sell bias to develop and look for the sell, right? So it's almost not likely to happen where you're gonna have a bullish confirmation and a bearish confirmation at the same time. Usually that's not gonna happen. So it's always gonna be one entry or the other, right? So if you're looking for buy, wait for the buy entry. If you're looking for sell, then you wait for your sell develop and you execute accordingly. All right, and that's how we can be more consistent, guys. Instead of kind of looking at other people and you think other people are like, oh, other people are saying it's a sell, but you're looking for a buy, and it kind of confuses yourself, and you end up not taking a buy position, and then just to see the buy position work out, that usually create quite a bit of anxiety and stress, right? So let's work on that aspect, which will be a better way to be a consistent trader. Yeah. So someone mentioned about pound dollar would be a down before I shoot up the upside. Yeah, certainly possible, right? So if you're looking for downside, then wait for the downside development, and then wait for the buy here, right? Follow through your plan. That's going to be a lot better, and you'll reduce a lot of emotional trading as well. So dollar yen sell. Yeah, I'm looking at dollar yen sell as well. Dollar yen sell. I think this is quite clear where the price is at right now, right? If we look at the price here, if we look at the higher time frame here on dollar yen, this is kind of the structure that I have currently, right? We have this kind of ascending structure in here. We have a few swing highs and a few swing lows. This is exactly kind of what we're looking for. I think we talked about this on Friday, last week, or Thursday as well. We had this double top here as well. So clearly there was a reversal here, right? So I'm not sure if any of you guys got it. I think this is definitely a first sign of reversal. So if you got it on this sell, good job on your part. I think now is whether or not we're going to get continuation. This could be a continuation already that fits your plan to enter. Something like this, or you want to wait for a little bit bigger development. It's up to you, of course. But the downside here does look a little bit more promising. We have a double top here. We have clearly sign of reversal opportunities. So if a bearish push down followed by a bearish continuation, definitely looking for further downside is going to help you to push down this price here. And potentially, if we completed this higher time frame structure, in a completion breakout followed by further downside, it's definitely possible, right? So first thing first is to kind of wait for this development here. Are we going to get a bearish continuation? That's certainly the one that we're working on right now, right? So that is dollar yen. Looking at what the other questions you guys have. How big the correction should be, waiting for the next impulse, minimum candles, or what frame to determine. A lot more than that, Wayne. So you might want to watch a few videos I have on my YouTube. Basically explains all that question that you just have. Risk management, you can find 3 entries in the impulsive market. How to set entry, stop loss, things like that. You should watch all these videos. You can learn. But basic understanding is it's not specific time frame, so don't get too zoom in on time frame wise. It's all you need to divide is higher time frame, which is anything higher than daily, and anything lower time frame, anything under 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 50 minutes is sufficient enough for entry. You don't necessarily have to be a specific time frame because there's not going to be much difference between your 30 minutes and 50 minutes. It's basically the same thing. Just like your daily and 4 hour, it's not going to be matter too much, right? So what you need to look for is higher time frame bias. If your higher time frame bias is a sell, and we go to the lower time frame to look for confirmation and to look for entries, right? It's not minimum candles or anything like that. It's more, do we get a continuation correction here, right? Do we have a bearish impulse? Do we have a continuation? And we set our entry order accordingly, okay? Again, all of these are going to require you to backtest it, right? It's not something you will learn right away and you will pick up on it. It's something that you have to put in work as well. So let's continue here, guys. That's all the dollar pairs that I'm looking at actually. Excuse me, guys. Not seeing anything else on the dollar pairs, to be honest. Not really liking dollar Swiss, to be honest. I know some of you guys are looking for sells. Sure, this is kind of some structure that currently is priced. I want to show me this, and I do agree there is something developing like this as well. If you're looking for sells, I think a breakout followed by correction would be ideal, but anything other than that, I'm not too interested. No other dollar pair really falling to my watch. Again, just focusing on euro dollar, pound dollar, and potential dollar yen here for weakness in dollar. Okay. Now let's continue here to the yen pairs now, because a lot of you guys are asking me about the yen pairs. And Aussie yen seems to be that question that everyone is asking, and there seems to be a debate. Well, not a debate, like a good interaction between everyone in the group. And I thought I can share my understanding or my perspective on them. Originally, there was some sort of head and shoulder here, right? And then a lot of people are looking at, well, is this head and shoulder going to continue the price and kind of just push down the price and then quick reversal upwards? And some of you guys are looking at potential head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder here to push up the price. Now, I think I mentioned this on Thursday. If I can just kind of relook at what I post here. Right, this is what I post on Thursday, and it still stands as in today, right? Because all I'm looking for here, guys, is I'm not looking to sell or whatever or buy in this area while we're in the middle of consolidation. Okay, again, this comes from experience and backtesting, right? When the price is in the halfway of this overall correction, anything goes, right? Because you can easily push down or you can push up, but it's not going to be a good setup however you look at this, because it's just in the middle of nowhere, right? If we want to be good price action trader, if we want to understand how structures and patterns develop, you will understand that we always want to be looking for sells when the price is at the top, right? And we always want to look for the buys when the price is at the bottom. That is how we can be a better, consistent trader. So if we understand what is going on right now on the overall price, is that this is an impulsive phase to the downside, and it looks like we are potentially forming a larger structure. So while the price is in the middle here, guys, to me, I'm just not going to be buying nor selling, right? I would prefer to see the price move up to the top here, and I will definitely be looking for sell when the price is at the top, right? When the price is middle here, in the middle of kind of how I say, in the middle of nowhere, again, this whatever you decide to do, whether you're buying or selling, is just not going to be a good probability setup, guys, because we're still in this larger correction. So if you look for sell, what if it just bounces off here and reverses, which is likely? And in this case, this is pretty much what a lot of people did, is they look for a sell off this head and shoulder. It probably take them in because it did break down and then just a quick reversal, right? And you're just taking unnecessary losses while the price is still in a larger correction. Remember, guys, I said this pretty much every stream, is that we want to enter a trade when it's about to kick off the impulsive move, or when it's in the impulsive move. We don't want to trade when it's in a consolidation, because this is where traders lose money, when the price is in a consolidation, which is exactly what it is right now. So sure enough, sometimes if you enter these, it will work out in your favor because it's probability, right? Anybody who just enter a trade, sometimes they will win, sometimes they will lose. But you as a trader need to do more than that, okay? You need to do more than that to be a consistent trader. You can't just be like, well, I enter here, some of the time it works out, some it doesn't. Well, I'm going to continue to take these kind of setups. No, because the more you take these, the more mediocre result you will have, in the more emotional you will be when you take losses in this area. So learn to actually understand why we don't take trades when it's in the consolidation. We want to take trade when it's about to finish the consolidation, when the next impulsive phase is about to happen. That is going to strengthen your probability of success. That's going to give you a higher probability setup, a better risk reward setup in the long run. Okay? So I hope this really gets to some of you guys who are struggling with something like this, because yes, if you take a sell here, sometimes it will work out, okay? And if you take a buy here, sometimes it will work out as well. But you're still trading while the price is in a consolidation. So in the long run, it's just not going to be ideal for you to be sustainable when something like this to happen. Okay, so if the price does push up to the top here, and if there's some bearish reversal, bearish kind of confirmation, yeah, I'll be looking for sell. I think this is perfectly fine. And if the price somehow just break below here and continue after correction, then same idea, right? Because this leads to another downside here, and potentially this is all we're going to see as a correctional structure. And looking for a sell after when the price finish correcting is not a bad idea as well. But what I wouldn't do is while the price is in the middle to be looking for buy and sell, because again, it's in the consolidation. Okay, so I hope this is clear for some of you guys. I hope that helps some of you guys to be more consistent, because a lot of times when I do these streams and when I do the sessions, when I do the coaching and mentoring, this seems to be the most ideal problem where people are taking entries and they're saying, oh, the trade went against me, the trade went against me. And when I ask them to show me the chart, when I ask them to show me their entries, this is typically what they show me when there is a larger correction in the making, and they tend to enter while the price is still correcting. All right, so let's go to CAD Yen here, guys. So CAD Yen here, a lot of you guys are looking at CAD Yen as well, and I do agree CAD Yen is looking pretty clean if we get some sort of bearish reversal, right? So look at here, guys. This is a much better development than Aussie Yen currently, right? Aussie Yen is in the middle of nowhere in terms of current price action, whereas CAD Yen has actually moved up to the top here, which could be a double top. Right, so this is the area we're looking at right now. Like, this is somewhat in a consolidation, somewhat in a correction. This is exactly what we want to see, right? If you notice, guys, two previous sell wasn't enough to continue the price, wasn't enough to basically continue the higher time frame head and shoulder. But this one that we are looking at right now could easily potentially look for a further downside if we get a consolidation here. So there is a much difference here, guys, between what we're seeing here versus Aussie Yen as an example, okay? So what I will be looking out here for is, I'm not looking for buys, to be honest. I'm looking for sells. To me, this is an overall bearish down move, right? And everything what we're happening here, to me, is a right shoulder, okay? It's just like a left shoulder here. Now, I saw some of you guys are looking for buys, right? Again, follow through with your plan, guys. If you think this is a buy up move, and if you're looking at this as a continuation, then you probably should be in the entry already, right? But to me, what I'm looking for sell is, I'm not looking for sell entry right away, but I want to see if this correction will kind of finish, if it's going to give me bearish opportunities, then I'll look for a sell, right? So that's the difference here, right? When we just went over that same example, is if some of you guys are looking for buys, then execute your buy confirmation, and this is likely to be a buy confirmation for you guys if you draw the structure like this or something like that, and you do see this as a breakout, you see this as a correction, right? So that is your entry there, right? And stick to it if that's your entry. Whereas personally, I'm more leaning towards a downside potential, but I'm not entering this the other way, right? I want to see a little bit more developing here to confirm my bias of a potential sell. Then I'll look for the sell entries if it does develop into one. Okay, and that's the difference here, guys, right? Follow through with your plan, follow through with your overall entry, and that's going to help you to really be more consistent in the long run. So that is CAD Yen, right? This is the area that I'll be paying attention to. And again, my bias here is looking for a potential sell. Okay. Now, if we go to Swiss Yen here, Swiss Yen is going to be the same as Aussie Yen, right? I think some of you guys are also asking me about Swiss Yen sell. And this is the same prime example here, guys. This is the head and shoulder at the time, right? And I recall some of you guys talking about sell last Friday, or maybe some of you guys caught or enter the sell, but it didn't work out here. But is this not the same prime example what I just talked about Aussie Yen? Was this head and shoulder in the middle of nowhere, right? It's in the middle of nowhere while we're in this larger consolidation once again, right? What was originally something that looks like it can push out and continue downside had the bullish reversal, right? And this is where my previous entry, if I recall, I exit here, right? And then you can see this bullish up move on the price. So after that bullish up move on the price, I realized that the price can easily just form into a bigger consolidation, which is kind of what we're seeing here. So the downside previously did not continue down further. Instead, we had a bullish reversal up move. So chances are we're gonna get a bigger correction here, and that's exactly what I'm waiting for. Is can this price move up once more to the top here? Then definitely looking for sell here is the right move, right? So if you got caught here, if you enter this head and shoulder, if you enter the sell here and you took a loss, think about what I just mentioned here and think about what I just mentioned here on Aussie yen here as well. It's the same prime example, same scenario. So understand why you end up with the loss, right? When the price is in the consolidation, right, you're not going to enter the trades. It's not likely to work out. But if the trade is at a point where it's about to finish consolidation, it's about to lead to another impulsive phase, then these are going to be higher probability setups where you're going to maximize your risk reward. All right, so I hope really this is going to help some of you guys, because this is often where traders lose money, and it's really not much more I can explain. Is this is where traders lose money. Remember, guys, you can see price action structures patterns anywhere in the market, right? You can see a 5-minute flag and then work out. You can see some 5-minute head and shoulder, and then that's exactly what I'm saying, right? You're gonna spot head and shoulder here, but is it at the top of the overall price? Is it at the overall higher time frame structure and combining with lower time frame? If it does not, then it reduces the probability of a head and shoulder reversing back downwards, right? It's the same thing if you zoom into a lot of time frames. You're gonna see some flags on the lower time frame. You're gonna see some, channels on the lower time frame. But if they don't align up with the higher time frame, then basically you are just taking a lower probability setups, which may not work for you in the long run. So let's continue here, guys. There's a lot of pairs that kind of pound dollar. We already went over that, right? We went over about that for a potential buy. Went over this as well. Euro Kiwi, I'll definitely go over. Yeah, there is an impulsive move, but there is no. I don't see this as a continuation. I'm more leaning towards a bearish. I don't see this as. Let me take this back. I do see this as a impulsive move, but I don't see any here as a continuation. I don't see that at all. I see this more as a double top here, and there is actually higher time frame kind of reversal structures. And this area here is going to determine whether or not we're going to get further continuation downside or not. But so far, I'm not really seeing any bullish structure here at all. I don't see this as a bullish structure here either. I'm more leaning towards a bearish kind of point of view. So let's continue here. A little bit behind schedule once again, guys, but I hope these mini lessons that I throw in there can really help out others. Maybe a lot of people may not agree with me, but I hope I can help some traders who are struggling in that aspect. Let's talk about Euro Aussie here. Euro Aussie has been pushing down, right? I don't know if any of you guys are still in Euro Aussie, but we're pushing down. It's just not pushing down impulsively, right? There's a lot of sideways movement, but it's still pushing down, and then we're still basically reaching to the end of here. Now, I saw some of you guys are looking for entries here. Again, I personally won't be recommending or doing that, because you're just trading through to this previous low now, right? If the entry was up here or something, I think that's definitely fine. I think everything, all the confluence is there, right? It's quite clear. But because we're trading through this low here, I wouldn't recommend trading through the low. If you're looking for further downside, it's better for price to break down here and then continuation afterwards. That's something much better that aligns up with the overall higher time frame, double top here, higher time frame, head and shoulder. And if we completed head and shoulder here, push to the downside, Then further downside here is likely to the next low. Now, Euro Kiwi is going to be the same idea, right? We talk about these few Aussie Kiwi positions that are looking pretty clean. Now, Euro Kiwi had a really kind of bullish push up. I think this was on Friday or Thursday, but it quickly retraced back down. But it's overall nothing changes, right? Nothing changes from the overall higher time frame to the lower time frame, right? We're still seeing this as an impulsive move to the downside. And this overall is just a consolidation here. And if we zoom out here, we have more room to the downside, sort of, right? We have at least to this low here. So if you're looking for sell or if you're looking for sell bias, I think there is enough room to the previous low, depending on how you see this. And do you see this as a continuation correction to go lower or not? Because this is a little bit throwing off, right? Usually you want to see correction just like this and then push to the downside afterwards. But I think the overall bias here is definitely looking for a potential sell. Now let's continue here with Pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi is another pair that you guys are looking at as well, right? Just want to circle Cat Swiss. Pound Kiwi, it's the same idea. This being on my watch list for a few weeks now, right? We know that the down move is here. We know that we completed, broken out of this structure here. So this is all good, right? And this consolidation is still continue to consolidate. Now it doesn't change what we're looking at here, right? The more I consolidate, it's actually better because more I consolidate and more confirms the downside, more confirm that this can be a continuation and then continue lower. I think this is clean for another move to the downside where we have this compared to Euro Kiwi actually has better risk reward and a better potential in my opinion. Again, if you're looking for sells in these pairs, choose one or two that's best that fits your plan, right? Because you don't want to take all these entries at the same time. Now I'm looking at a few pairs if I miss. Euro Swiss sell. Yeah, Euro Swiss sell, I think I talked about last week. There was a sell set up here. I personally didn't get in this, but I think if any of you guys got in, good job on your part. But I think it was looking pretty clean for a downside continuation, which is kind of what I get here. Right, we originally had this push to the upside and just really didn't continue upwards, right? Instead, it's a bearish reversal and then bearish continuation and pushing down now. So again, what does this look like, guys? This is again, when you do chart work and when you do backtesting, this is once again going to help you guys. It's not some textbook head and shoulder, but it is exactly what a head and shoulder will do, right? We have a push up, we have a correction, push up higher, but no continuation after. Instead, it's a reversal impulse, continuation bearish correction, and then push down lower. Again, you're seeing this exactly as a head and shoulder, right? It's just not as a clean head and shoulder what you would learn from a textbook, but this is something that you need to put in work to identify that this is clearly a head and shoulder reversal. Okay, so when the price is pushing down now, there's looks like another correction here. Again, you're getting pretty close to the low now, right? So if you're in the position, make sure you adjust your stop loss. Even if it form a correction here, in my opinion, I don't think this is a good sell setup because, again, you're trading back to a previous low now, right? You would want to enter when it's in here or potentially here, but now that it's already pushing down quite a bit, I wouldn't recommend selling into here. I don't think I went over pound yen, so I'm going back to pound yen. Someone mentioned about long. Again, this is the same example we talk about in Aussie yen and Swiss yen. This is kind of in the middle of nowhere. We did see an inverse head and shoulder, right? So I think the entry here would be much nicer, right? If you enter this buy here to the top, I think that's fine, right? Because that is an inverse head and shoulder. But again, we're still in the middle of the consolidation, guys, right? So preferably if this move up once more to the top here, whatever the top will be, and then if there's bearish reversal, I think looking for the sell is definitely something that I will be looking out for. I think that's quite clean to look for a setup like this when the price again is looking like cat yen, where we have that larger head and shoulder pattern as well, right? It's just that this right shoulder or this right correction continues to evolve and continue to correct. But all that is showing you honestly is that this is a consolidation. If we know price action, if we done backtesting and chart work, we know that the consolidation usually leads to another impulsive move. And judging by where we are right now, judging by the higher time frame potential high here that we are basically at, judging by the higher time frame head and shoulders, so to me, my bias here is definitely looking for a sell once this consolidation finishes. So if it does move up here, I'm not interested in the buy, but if we move up here, whatever the high will be, I'm definitely eyeing for a potential sell. So that's continue here. Went over Aussie Kiwi already, right? So Cat Swiss. Cat Swiss sell, I think someone mentioned. Just double checking here. Cat Swiss sell. I think last week we talked about Cat Swiss as well. I just don't really see much developing here. Okay, so this could be a structure that we're looking at, sure, but I don't really see anything other than that, right? So like this could be a potential sell developing, sure, but I really don't favor this pair. I don't really see as much of a good confluence to look for the sell. Again, it's just I can choose better pairs to get involved in. I think this doesn't look as clean as something that I will want to get involved in. I'd rather risk my money in other pairs that we have discussed, but this one here doesn't look as clean to me personally. Okay. Last one is Kiwi Swiss. I think someone asked about Kiwi Swiss as well, if I can confirm here. Kiwi Swiss buy, Kiwi Cat long. Yeah, Kiwi Swiss does look like there is something going up here. It's similar like Euro Kiwi, right? If we look at Euro Kiwi, very similar price action. Kiwi Swiss is just mirror over, right? I think everything else is still stands. We still have this impulsive move. This is still a larger correction. It really depends on what is going to happen here, right? We have the impulsive move pushing up. This is more looking like a falling wedge. Usually it's going to be a bullish reversal when it's at the bottom of the structure. But in this case, this can just be a continuation correction to go higher. So the best bet here, I think it's still waiting for the price to impulse the out and then correction. At least this will confirm another upside, whether or not this can break the high here and continue or not. But I think something like this is going to be much more ideal to look for the entry. I think I saw Kiwi Cat long earlier on TradingView. I don't think the buy here looks sufficient. I think the sell looks more sufficient, right? If we look at the overall price from the higher time frame here, we have that bearish sell, right? I think a lot of us caught this bearish sell. And when the price is in this kind of a continuation price action, I mentioned about a possibility of a downside move, right? So it pushed up a little bit higher, but just to push down and complete this structure here. So I'm definitely not looking for buys anymore. I'll be looking at, is this structure here going to continue? If there is consolidation here, certainly another downside is possible. Or if it breaks out here and then continuation, I think it's the same thing. But this, to me, it looks like a continuation for this move. So if this is going to be the start of the impulsive move, then further downside is possible. So personally, I'm not really leaning towards any bullish view. Right? It depends on what's going to happen here. If it consolidates a little bit more, I think a down move is more likely here. I think last one, Aussie CAD and Aussie Swiss. I think Aussie Swiss is just kind of like Euro Aussie a little bit, right? Euro Aussie kind of mimicking Aussie Swiss. So my bias here is still looking kind of more long for me, just like Kiwi Swiss here. I think the overall view for me is more leaning towards a bullish view still. If we scroll here, I still see this as an impulsive move. This still be a larger kind of corrective phase. This looks like we had the kind of expanding structure where price does impulsively push up. So we're looking at this to be a continuation price action potentially, if it does have the impulse breaking out and continue upwards. Aussie CAD, more kind of on the sideline on this one, more leaning towards a sell actually personally. I think this overall move has been quite strong here, and this looks like more of an expanding structure currently that I'm looking at. I remember I always draw the structure in after the impulsive move, right? That's how personally how I will draw these structures. So, and we are at this previous low. I agree there is potential some sort of bullish reversal, but I'm not really seeing any bullish kind of price action. I'm more leaning towards, again, more bearish price action here, just like Kiwi Cat, right? So the Aussie pairs doesn't necessarily have to be in all Aussie strength, especially when it's paired with other pairs. Like if the Cat pairs are strong, then the Cat pair that are paired with Aussie Cat and Kiwi Cat is more likely to go downside because Cat is stronger. Okay, so personally, I'm not really leaning towards a buy here. I'm more looking at this as a potential sell continuation. Alright, so I think that is all the pairs on Forex, guys. If I miss anything, that will be a good time to let me know. If I miss any pairs that were mentioned earlier in the chat. I think I'm pretty sure I went through all the pairs that we'll discuss. But if I miss anything, let me know. Confuses on Kiwi Swiss. Again, if you're looking at 1 hour, sure, right? If you're looking at 1 hour, if you think this is a sell, sure, right? But again, where's your bias, right? Are you just solely focusing on the 1 hour chart here? If this is all a chart of Kiwi Swiss, then you're looking for a sell, sure, right? But you need to zoom out more and more, right? So this is where the conflict of interest will happen is if you're zoom in too much and you're looking at the lower time frame and you think this is a sell, of course, go ahead, right? If you think this is a sell potential, then sell according to your plan. But as I always say, right, I combine everything from the higher time frame to the lower time frame to determine my bias and to determine whether or not I'm going to enter. So it's exactly what I mentioned in law. It's like, well, when you zoom into the lower time frame, will you not see price action? Well, of course you will see price action, right? On the 5-minute chart here, is this not impulse? Is this not a correction? But does it work out all the time? Not necessarily, right? And this is exactly kind of what I mentioned is that price action structures, again, will appear in any time frame, any market. So it's up to you to recognize what type of traders you are. If you want to only focus on the lower time frame, then just be aware that the lower time frame price action may or may not work out for you because the higher time frame is showing you different ways, right? So a lot of times I'm going to miss these lower time frame entries, right? I'm going to miss them because it doesn't line up with my higher time frame bias, but I'm only going to enter trades when they align up with my higher time frame bias. Again, it's just a perspective, it's your trading plan, how you want to trade, right? I want to take less trades as possible, so I'm not interested in the lower time frame development, but I will be interested in the higher time frame development combining with the lower time frame price action so that I can have multi-time frame analysis, top-down approach that's going to maximize and give me a better probability of an entry rather than just entering on the lower time frame. So this is the difference here, guys. It's not wrong for you to enter sell here if you think this is going to be a sell. Go ahead to do so, right? If that's your plan to do so. But my plan, again, is I'm only going to enter if I get a higher time frame bias that is confirmed with the lower time frame bias. Then I will enter. Again, I'm not entering because I'm here, I'm entering here. I mentioned just now, right? I want to wait for price to impulsively break, followed by a correction. These conditions need to be met before I consider entry. It's not that I see a low test key in here and I'm start buying. No, it's not like that, right? I always wait for confirmation. I always wait for the price to develop on the lower time frame. That's going to confirm my entry. If that doesn't develop, then I'm not going to enter anything. All right. EuroCat sell. I think I talked about this last week or maybe on Thursday. I mentioned as well, it's like if this price breaks below here, even if it form a correction here, I'm not too interested because I think it's quite, um, we're getting pretty close to this previous low as well. Okay, so I'm not sure if you get enough risk reward here, judging by how the correction will be. I'm not too interested in this sell here, because we're getting pretty close to this low. Now, I'm sure there's a merit to saying, well, this could be a correction. Sure, it could be possibly a correction, but again, I don't want to trade through this low here. I don't think there's enough risk reward. It would be much better if the sell setup was at a much higher place where I can look for sell. But it looks like we have dropped down quite a bit already, so I'm going to observe to see what price will do when we hit this low first. Earth, I think you misunderstand a little bit here. What I meant here is any type of these correction that are reversal in nature is better to see them at the bottom. It's not that you won't appear here. It's like if you see a flag here, you would still be buying here. It's the same idea. It doesn't have to necessarily be at the top, or it doesn't have to necessarily be at the bottom, right? But it's just from a back testing chart work perspective, again, is you rather see these structures at the bottom of the overall price if it's a reversal, right? Because they tend to work out better in more time, right? But doesn't mean the wedge cannot form at the top, because this all it is telling you that if this is an impulsive move to the upside, if this correction, forget about if it's a wedge or a channel, doesn't matter, right? If this is a correction that is developing, and if this is going to be a continuation correction, then it really doesn't matter what correction it forms here. Okay, again, think outside the box when it comes to this. We're too used to seeing flag, thinking that flag has to be the one that's going to go higher. Sure, there's going to be a higher probability of a flag to continue, but have we seen enough also that the price form a flag and then reverse back down? Exactly, right? So understand, again, how people name these correction or whatever, it's really not too irrelevant. What is relevant is if the correction here that we're going to see going to be a continuation or a reversal. That is all we need to know here, okay guys? Because people often get too tied in with the name of the correction, or thinking about the wedge has to be going up or going down. All it matters here, guys, is are we identifying this correction here a continuation, or are we identifying this correction to be a reversal, right? So to me, this is possibly a continuation correction to go higher, right? We want to see wedges at the bottom if it's a falling wedge, or we want to see rising wedge when it's at the top. But in these cases, it's the same as when we see like head and shoulders, right? Head and shoulder, we want to see at the top of the overall price to reverse. But sometimes you're going to see head and shoulder in the middle of nowhere, and that could be just a correction to push the price higher depending on what it's forming. Hey, you're welcome, buddy. Augustine, you're welcome. So, looks like no more other pair. Let's move on here, guys. A little bit behind as usual. It's been an hour. Let's go to commodity here. Some of you guys are talking about oil. Let's talk about oil really quick here. And mostly, if I see oil is buy, let me just double check what you guys are saying about oil. So someone is in the buy of oil. Someone is talking about oil in general. Yeah, let's take a look at oil. Now, this is kind of what I'm seeing oil currently, is that if I look at the higher time frame here, this is also a previous high that the higher time frame is at, right? So I think this is a crucial kind of area to watch out for price, right? This is basically a higher time frame double top, and we have a kind of a lower time frame double top. Now, again, this is the price that we're currently seeing. The price is kind of moving up and up, and we are breaking above this high. That's okay, but I think the main aspect here is, are we going to continue up further and further, or are we start getting into a more consolidated price where we could likely to reverse back down, judging by where we are in this current structure and judging by where the higher time frame has been. Remember, double top doesn't mean that price has to stop at that exact height, right? It's about what end up doing here in the overall price. So to me, I'm still very neutral on this one. Certainly, there possibility of this move continue higher. So if you're in the buy, of course, hold on to your buy and adjust your stop loss as accordingly. But for me, I will be kind of monitoring to see what will going on here, right? If any type of bearish price action develop, right, this basically completes this structure here. And again, we are not trading in the consolidation, but we will be when it's about to finish correction, when there is signs of bearish reversal. That is something that I will look to get involved, because we're basically potentially completing this higher time frame structure that we're currently at. And we have a recent double top. We also have a higher time frame double top. So that is kind of what I'm leaning towards. But of course, again, guys, this is the key about waiting for confirmation, right? I'm not just blindly selling here when there's nothing developing. Okay, we only sell when there is confirmation of price, confirmation impulse, confirmation correction. All that's going to confirm a potential reversal. But if none of them develop, then of course I'm not just going to blindly put a sell order here and hoping it will go down, right? That's not how it works. Okay, so in the meantime, if you're in this bullish move up, right, again, if it's going to be more bullish price action, then of course hold on to your trade. But I would just keep an eye on what the price will do when it hits the top here, because of all that kind of potential condition I just mentioned, right? If it hit the top here and we just stop seeing bullish push up, we start seeing reversal here, then I'm going to look for potential selling opportunities if it does develop here. Euro, Singapore, yeah, did I not get that? My bad. I'll quickly go over it because that's in the Forex pairs. But this should be looking pretty. I think I went over this last week if I can recall. Well, I personally see it more like this. I don't know about your direction, so probably give me a long bias, right? Yeah, I do see long bias as well. I think this is quite clear that we, on the higher time frame here, this is a impulsive move, right? This looks like a larger correction in the making. And if we join some structure here, it looks like there's some sort of descending structure here while we're in this higher time frame structure here. So I think this is looking pretty clean. Looks like there is probably lower time frame development here on the price. So there looks like there is a little bit of reversal here. But yeah, just have to be careful because the move has been kind of going down, right? It's followed by a correction here to go lower. But I do agree this is at the previous low here. So if there is bullish correction here, this could be potentially the one that kicks off. But just be careful of where the price has been. That's all, okay? So if you understand that if you're getting in while the correction is still in this descending structure, there's a potential risk. But if you wait for price to break out here and a continuation after, I think this could be a little bit better, safer a little bit. But of course, you're going to have less risk reward to the top here. So that's Euro Singapore dollar. Yeah, my bad, I missed this one. So let's continue here on silver and gold, guys. I always do my higher time frame on daily. I think there's not gonna be much difference between you looking at the daily or weekly. That's basically telling you the same thing. And monthly really is just less candle, but it's telling you the same thing, right? This is monthly chart, this is weekly chart, and this is daily chart. So my higher time frame is always daily because I can see a little bit more development on the candles, or more days of development, so to speak. Whereas if you look at 1 month, like one candle equals to 30 days, right? So I'm not getting enough information, even though it's telling you the same thing, guys, right? Even though you're seeing the same triple bottom, you're seeing the same impulse, you're seeing the same correction here. We go to the weekly, it's the same thing, right? Same triple bottom, same impulse, same correction. I go to the daily, it's the same thing, right? Same triple bottom here, same impulse, and same potential correction in the making. I use daily because it's just the most common one, and you get to see a little bit more development, but daily, weekly, it's perfectly fine to me. I don't really look at monthly much. I already went through euro dollar, so I'll have to get back to it after I finish these commodities really quick. So silver, this is kind of what I'm looking at now. Is we're at the bottom here, right? We're at the bottom of this current structure here. We're basically at this bottom here, potential double bottom here. So basically, I'm gonna be looking for buys, right? I'm not looking for sells anymore. We're at the bottom here. But it really depends on what the price will do in this general area. Are we going to get some sort of bullish bias here? I would prefer to see potential maybe an inverse head and shoulder or something like that. Maybe kick off the next bullish run. Just because of where the higher time frame is, guys, it's kind of what I mentioned a while ago, because to me, this is still a really massive bullish move after COVID, right? You see COVID drop a little bit back to this bottom here, and then really sharp reversal impulse. Naturally, after an impulsive move, we know price needs to correct, right? It's just like any other market. So we correct here, but we're still at the low here, so nothing changes, right? If this consolidation keeps continuing, then further upside is very, very possible from a higher time frame perspective, okay? So this is gonna take weeks or months to actually develop, so don't be rushing here. But this is looking pretty clean, because you can tell the price just isn't going down lower than this area, because I mentioned this is a little bit fundamental now, because there's costs associated with making silver, right? It's the same as any other commodities or any other product. There's overhead costs, there is a lot of different costs associated with manufacturing silver or producing silver. And because of inflation, guys, right? This is a little bit fundamental now. If because of inflation, your price just cannot be lower than that, because no manufacturer are going to make money off silver if the price continue to drop. It just doesn't make sense. It basically makes them inevitable, basically make them not applicable to be producing them, because you can't even cover the basic fundamental costs, right? So you gotta think of it from an economic point of view now. So personally, I'm just not looking for sells, right? There is probably sell in the lower time frame, all that stuff, but to me, this is looking more as a bullish price to continue in the long term, right? Whereas I just don't see silver going back to this low again, judging by what we have seen already, right? This was a potential down move. This was during 2011, where silver shoots up to about $50 or so, and then just gradually kind of pushed down in a bearish trend. And I think this was the turning point, right? Had a little bit of wedge here, push up, another correction, or you push up here. This was supposed to be a bullish continuation, but because COVID happened, it dropped down, but it just couldn't drop lower this, and it basically had a bullish reversal. So my bias here long term wise is definitely looking for buy here, just whether or not the lower time frame is going to give us that opportunity yet. Okay, so meanwhile, on the short term wise, lower time frame, again, if we have inverse head and shoulder here, that would be nice to see. And kind of just be on the lookout for any type of bullish price action. We're at the bottom here, so definitely not looking for sells anymore, but looking for potential buy opportunities. I will go over US 30, my friend. Just finishing up commodities here. I will go over the indices. So let's look at gold here. We talked about gold, I think, last week as well. Definitely looking for buy, right? It's not looking for sell anymore after. Now, remember we got a question someone asking me, is this going to be a structure? To me, again, I talk about this, I would rather wait for price to hit the low here and then look for buy. That's going to fit my plan a lot better. But it's not that I said this cannot work out, right? This can certainly work out, and this works out in this potential scenario. But this is kind of what we're seeing, right? It's the same thing, is that we have this falling wedge and price impulsively break, and this looks like a continuation correction to go higher, right? Which is kind of what we talk about on Thursday, if I can find the chart again. But that's basically what I'm seeing here. Same thing. Let me just see if I can find the chart. Yeah, this was on Thursday, right? Last week. Basically waiting for a continuation, and that is basically what is happening here. So, um, definitely my bias here is buying. Now, I'm not sure if you guys got in on this buy or anything like that, but personally, like I said, I would rather see the price at the bottom here, right? So I'm not really looking to buy here, but I do think the bias is looking for upside here. Okay, I would be more inclined to look at silver here for the same move because we're at the bottom here. And it's really the difference here between the two is that uh, I'm I'm looking for a buy on both gold and silver, but I'm only going to choose one, right? They're going to likely move together if they're going to move together in a bullish impulsive move. So personally, I think silver just looks a little bit better, a little bit cleaner to me in terms of price. It's at the bottom here. I think there's a lot more risk reward to buy, whereas gold, you can potentially hit these highs here and then potentially reverse down, right? Or even hitting the top of the current price action that we are at in, and I don't want to basically trade through that. So again, filtering process, right? If it's about filtering the best opportunity available. Okay, so let's continue here. I'm gonna go over the indices now. Went over the indices, I think last week, and I think I mentioned about indices looking a little bit indecisive. Let's take a look into them really quick. Now, I saw some of you guys posting the charts like these, right? And then some of you guys were talking about the bullish point of view. I don't know if you guys got in on these. Again, this is why I said be a little bit more on the sideline on these indices because they're a little bit contradicting, right? Look at S&P and US indices. They all form that bullish kind of potential inverse head and shoulder, and potentially people get tagging here, but this is what's happening, right? Again, this is lower time frame development, right? So it's the same question I was asked by me by Kiwi Swiss earlier. Is someone mentioned about the Kiwi Swiss look like sell? Sure, that's lower time frame development. It's the same thing as people ask me, does the S&P and Dow Jones look like buy? Sure, on the lower time frame. But if we zoom out on the higher time frame, we need to consider what's higher time frame doing, right? The higher time frame to me is looking like it is more bearish to me, right? It's pushing down. We break out the structure here. There is continuation price action here on the lower time frame. So you're always going to see these inverse head and shoulder. You're always going to see patterns and structures anywhere, any time frame, but they may or may not work out to their desired direction because they're on the lower time frame, right? The higher time frame bias, the higher time frame structure has a higher probability of working out rather than lower time frame development. That is just something that we need to recognize and acknowledge, right? A lot of times people think, well, I see a 5-minute flag, should I be buying here? Well, of course, sometimes it will work out, guys, but sometimes it will not, and that is a fact, right? So you have to learn to control that aspect, where if you see some lower time frame development for a buy, but if it goes against the higher time frame, then you shouldn't be buying there, right? Because it's against the higher time frame. Sometimes the trade will work out, right? And sometimes it will won't, but you need to do better than that. It's like what I keep telling you guys is you need to do better than that. You can't just be like, well, sometimes it will work out, sometimes it will not. So that's fine. Sometimes it will work out, it will help me. So I'm going to enter this trade. Well, to be a consistent, sustainable trader, you need to do more than that, right? And that is what I've been trying to tell everyone since the first day. So Nasdaq is the same thing here, right, guys? It's looking down more bearishly, right? To me, it's just pushing down more and more, followed by corrections, and we're basically at the low here. So I think there is still possibility here, guys, if we just see price to actually break down here and then continuation afterwards, at least to the previous low. I think there is definitely room for the downside. That's something that I will be on the lookout for. S&P 500, we'll look at basically seeing what will develop here. We're breaking this previous low, right? We're seeing price is more in a bearish kind of trend. So certainly more downside is possible if we get perhaps a little bit bigger consolidation here. That'll be nice to see as well to lead to another downside. And I think Dow Jones is the same exact thing, right? We talk about Dow Jones here. It's a little bit hit the bottom here, right? We had this push down from the price. It kind of hit the bottom here, but we still managed to break out of this current structure that we're in, right? We're still breaking out of this higher time frame structure. It's that we had the push down, we had a really sharp pullback, but we still continue the price looks like, right? And if we dig a little bit deeper here, it's the same thing. If this inverse head and shoulder doesn't work out because it's on the lower time frame, if we zoom out here, the higher time frame is still looking a little bit more bearish because we completed this higher time frame structure here. So for this one though, Dow Jones, I would probably wait for price to break the low again. I wouldn't be trading directly into the previous low here first, but I want to see price to actually break this previous low and then continuation after. I think that's going to be a better entry than where the price is at currently. Whereas I think the other two S&P 500 consolidation here would be nice to see, and Nasdaq looks like it's actually pushing down quite fiercely, which is nice to see, right? This was the original where the price was at. It's pushed down quite a bit, so waiting for breakout and then continuation. I think that's also very nice for a potential entry. Do I have a group? I have multiple platforms. You can follow me on Telegram. I'll copy the link here. You can find me here, or let me just try to copy this for you. You can follow me on Telegram. You can follow me on TradingView. TradingView is where I post all my charts, share my analysis. All the streams are rewatchable on TradingView. Or you can watch me on YouTube as well. This is where I post all my streams and updates and things like that. YouTube is actually the best for you to learn everything I just talk about for free. So you can go on my YouTube videos, all my playlists, price action and things like that, where it explains everything I just talk about in terms of different structures, continuation, risk management, trading psychology. You're going to get all the information here. Okay. So that is all the indices, guys. Okay, so it looks like they are resuming some of the bearish move, which is nice to see, right? I was a little bit more on the sideline here. Some bullish reversals will be extra cautious, right, guys? Again, that is the difference between trying to enter lower time frame and combining your higher time frame bias, because again, the higher time frame bias is going to save you from entering these lower time frame development, right? That is what's going on here, guys. Any question here before we move on to crypto? Just last bit of things I want to touch base on. Alright, so let's continue here, guys. I'm going to go back, after I finish crypto, guys, I'm going to have Q&A, so you can leave your question till the end. But I'm going to quickly go over crypto because they're still pretty red, right? I'm still pretty red, but I do see some bullish development. So let's take a look here. I think I'm going to start with Bitcoin here because I remember last week, again, Thursday, when we did the Q&A here, I mentioned about this correction will need to finish before it confirms anything, which it did. I think some of you guys caught the buy here, so very good job on your part. We had this push off on the price, but now it's really, this is the key area I mentioned, is that you have to, we're waiting for continuation, right? So is this going to be a continuation? We're not too sure, but this is certainly can develop into some sort of consolidation that lead to another upside. So this is the really important aspect of the price now, is Are we going to get continuation, or are we going to hit a top here and then reverse back down? Because what we're seeing here is a strong bullish up move, yes, but an up move or an impulsive phase needs to follow by continuation to go higher. Otherwise, it's not likely to go any higher than that. Right? So, well, so be careful here if you're in the buy here, guys. Right? If you're in the buy here, move your stop loss to break even, because you're just going to watch this correction to develop. Is it going to give us another up move to the upside? Then potentially you're going to hit the all-time high here, right? This is the all-time high. Oh, sorry, this is the all-time, sorry. We still have quite a bit of space to here, but I meant this is the high where you need to be careful, because if another correction form to push up, this is still a high where we need to pay attention to, okay? Now another one I was looking at is Solana. I think Solana is being pushing up quite a bit. It's actually looking pretty clean for further upside. So after this further upside, we have this consolidation, we have another break to the upside, but same approach like Bitcoin is. Are we going to get another consolidation here to push the price higher to the top? I think that would be a good idea to see for another continuation. Again, we talk about Solana every stream, and I like how where we are right now in terms of price. We have been pushing out quite a bit bullishly, so looking for bullish continuation isn't going to be bad here in the perspective wise. Other than that, I'm still going to just be waiting for the sideline here. I don't see too much. I do see they're developing into some bullish move. Some of them are looking kind of clean, that we are getting a little bit more bullish kind of activity, so it's nice to see. But other than that, I'm still going to be waiting, right? I'm still going to waiting for a little bit more development, a little bit more bullish development is something that I would like to see from the long run here on the price. But the only two that I am looking out is Solana here and Bitcoin. And I was also looking at Cardano as well. I was looking to see if this is going to break out here and then continue, but doesn't look like it's doing that right now. So I'll be keeping an eye on this still for the days to come. Now, any question here, guys, for any of the crypto or any pairs on crypto you want me to take a look before we go to a Q&A? AVAX, I hope this is the same. So we broke the previous all-time high here, right? So the price is consolidating here. Now I'm not sure how you're seeing this. Maybe you see it this way, but we haven't really break out of this correction yet. So we'll be looking to see if this is going to continue downside and then continue afterwards. That's a possibility. But I don't see much other confluence at this point. So. Doge up or down, right? Are you going long or are you going short? Yeah, so I do agree. The overall bias here should be a long. Now it's depending on what's going to happen here, because well, it looks like we had this kind of a descending structure here, and price is basically pushing up, followed by potential correction here. Looking for long, yes, but it kind of just because how corrective this move has been going down, and I'm almost looking at this. Well, is this going to continue kind of push down all the way to this bottom here? Because this is the low has been, right? We had all this bullish push up, and now it's just this sideways consolidation has been going on for some time now. So what was once looking pretty clean to go higher, looks like it was just falling into more of a consolidation phase, which I don't really like to see. So I'm fairly kind of on the sideline for this. I'm not looking for entry here. This could be a possible buy, but I'm personally not really interested. I want to see a little bit more development here. But if we look at a couple other ones, if I'm looking at a couple other ones, like let's see. Like Ripple, for example, it's kind of the same thing where we have a bullish structure and we kind of fall into a bearish structure, but this was looking better because we had a kind of a bullish up move. Whereas here is still kind of moving sideways here, right? So I think another push up here followed by a correction would be much, much better. At least you confirm that this consolidation is over. You confirm the bullish up move has happened. And a bullish continuation, I think that's a better entry personally. That's kind of how I would see this. So Ethereum short. I mean, depending on what's going to happen here, I think this is a similar like Bitcoin where we had that consolidation and then price did impulsively up, right? So it's kind of like same thing here where we had the consolidation and price push up. Now it's really depending on what's going to happen here. So I think selling would be too early. Okay, personally, I think selling would be too early here. Um, Especially we had this kind of a reversal correction, right? This is a reversal correction that a reverse up rather than a bearish continuation. So that to me is leading towards more of an upside depending on what this side of the correction will do, if it's going to consolidate a little bit more to push up higher, or is it going to give you a bearish reversal. But so far here it's hard to identify. I think it's just a little bit more sideways consolidation, but hasn't really confirmed anything yet. So again, I think patient here is probably better, to wait for just last development here before before confirming which side that you want to be entering. But I personally is more leaning towards an upside move because of this reversal correction. All right, so last one, SLP. I don't think I have that. You're welcome. Now, is this, I mean, because I'm really not seeing too much here, or this is relatively new crypto because there is not much price action here. There's not too much data, so I can't really judge or can't really give too much analysis here, but this has just been dropping down, right? So if you want to see this as a potential correction, then I think it has to confirm with a strong impulsive move followed by correction to give you that this is a descending structure here, okay? So, yeah, goodbye, buddy. Nice to see you. So that is kind of what I see, is that if this is going to be a descending structure, push off on the price followed by correction is much, much more ideal to look for entries. If that doesn't happen, then not much I can say here because there's not too much data here for me to go back to. All right, so that is crypto, guys. Why don't we do some Q&A now? I'm gonna leave a little bit of time for Q&A right now. So if I miss any pairs, you're welcome to let me know. I think I miss pound. Did I miss someone? Pound Swiss. Make sure you guys put long or short on any pairs you want me to go over. I want to know your perspective as well. That's actually going to be a better engagement. So if you have any pairs that you want me to double go over, make sure you put long or short. Or if you have any questions you want me to answer, type it out now. I can answer quickly. I have a good 15-20 minutes till I finish. So this is a good time for me to answer any questions you may have. Okay, so Bitcoin descending channel, and what's your perspective? Are you leaning towards a buy or are you leaning towards a sell? What are you looking at? Like 4 hour descending triangle, which part are you talking about in terms of descending triangle? I'm not really seeing descending triangle, right? Again, maybe you can share a screenshot we can take a look at. But personally, I'm more just kind of looking at this area to see if we're going to get another consolidation here that could lead to another upside. Yeah, I'm not sure what descending triangle. Maybe you can, like I said, you can share a screenshot. We can take a look at it together. But I'm not sure how you're drawing in your structures and things like that. So Aussie dollar long. Yeah, Aussie dollar long. Kind of same thing what we talked about on in the beginning, right? So I'm looking for potential long or potential bullish bias. I like what I'm seeing here. It's looking like an inverse head and shoulder. So I think the confirmation here would be nice to see price actually kind of impulsively break to the upside and then followed by correction here. That will be at least a little bit better entry to look for a buy. I think there is a smaller entry or a smaller correction here, but it may not be enough, and you can see price is pushing down now. So if you set an entry order, it's probably best to move it break even and then just watch the price to observe or develop a little bit more. That's going to be better for a confirmation upside. Euro Kiwi, like Euro Kiwi long or short, make sure you put that as well. So what's the best method to looking at the market to decide direction of the next impulsive move? I went over this many times, but there's a lot of videos that we can go look at as well, right? Mostly it's going to be multi-time frame analysis. So if you're not familiar with multi-time frame analysis, there's a bunch of videos I do, but this one specifically, how to utilize multi-time frame analysis in your trading. But basically, we're always going to start your analysis on the higher time frame, right? Because the higher time frame is still going to weight the heaviest on, right? Let's say for euro dollar as example, we're always going to start from the higher time frame first, because the higher time frame gives you the better bias that your overall technical aspect of analysis is always going to weigh heavier on the higher time frame. It's kind of what I mentioned throughout the stream, is that a 5-minute flag has lower probability of working out than a higher time frame daily flag. It's just how it is, guys, right? Because the lower time frame has a lot more noise, a lot of uncertainty, a lot more noise or volatility, whereas the higher time frame is already concluded that, right? All this noise, all the development, it's already in there. So if you look at the higher time frame, you're always going to have a bias of a higher time frame first, because that's going to give you at least a possible direction. So to me, like where euro dollar is at now, my bias here is potentially looking for a buy potential rather than selling here at this given moment. So my bias will start from the higher time frame first, and if we go down to the lower time frame, when we go down to the lower time frame, we're looking for entries, right? We're looking for confirmation, we're looking for entries. It's exactly kind of what we did here, where when the entry at the time was looking clean, we had the descending structure, we had the double bottom, we have a descending channel, we had an inverse head and shoulder, we had a bullish reversal followed by bullish impulse, and bullish continuation. See how I mentioned a bunch of these confluences that leads to a bullish impulse, because we combine the higher time frame and we combine all these lower time frame confluence to look for a entry, right? So it's the same idea what we go through over and over again. Have a higher time frame bias first, right? And go down to the lower time frame to look for confirmation and to look for entries, because what you're basically doing is not swing trading and you're not day trading either. What you're doing is more of a hybrid trading, because you basically identify the swing trade opportunity, but you enter on the lower time frame for maximum risk reward, right? There's obviously risk involved because your stop loss are generally going to be tighter, but you maximize your reward by entering the trade that you would normally enter as a swing trade, but I enter on the lower time frame because I maximize the risk reward. Right? what do I think about the idea of focusing on single pair cannot give you advantage? I think from the big, if you're new to trading, you can probably do that, but you should always be open-minded and uh, allow more opportunities to get involved in, which is trading. If you're trading Forex, then trading the 28 pairs is going to be better, right? So you can focus on the 28 pairs, 28 major pairs, right? So it's give you more opportunities. Focusing on one pair, what ends up happening is you're going to only focus on one pair, but you're gonna when you start scrolling to other pairs, you're gonna miss out opportunities, and you're gonna be more of an emotional drawn on because you're like, oh damn, I focus on one pair, but actually other pairs are working out so good, right? So don't limit yourself to one pair or one market, right? There's many markets out there. There's different things to look at. So at the start, you can use that to just focus on one pair. Let's say you focus on euro dollar, and you just continue to backtest and do chart work on, and once you get comfortable, then include other pairs in there. All right. Which time frame do I use to enter the market? I kind of just went over that, right? It's not a specific time frame. It's about higher time frame, lower time frame, multi-time frame analysis. So lower time frame, anything under 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, it's all possible entries. They're all basically telling you the same thing. So it's not a specific time frame, right? So we have to think more than that. It's about what the lower time frame is doing in line with what the higher time frame is doing, right? So the higher time frame, if we're looking for bullish bias, then lower time frame, anything under those time frame is all sufficient entry. It doesn't have to be a specific time frame, which maybe other strategy or other course teach you that, but don't limit yourself to one specific time frame, because 15-minute and 30-minute, it's basically telling you the same thing, right? Just like 1 hour and 2 hours telling you the same thing. So you don't have to limit yourself to one time frame. I wouldn't answer that, Earth. Maybe that's up to you and your trading plan, right? Basically, you're asking me to give you a signal to put buy or sell now, which what I'm not going to do. Cat Swiss, we mentioned this. I'm not really interested in Cat Swiss because I really don't like the current price action that I'm looking at. I'm more leaning towards a sell, yes, but to me, there's better price or better development in the market that I would want to risk money in. Whereas this is a little bit more indecisive. I do see the impulsive move. I do see there's potential correction here in the making, but I'm not looking for sell here. I think there's better pairs out there for me to risk money in. Dollar Swiss short, same idea. I do agree the dollar Swiss is the sell bias is there. I will probably, if I was to enter something like this, I would wait for price to impulse down, followed by correction here to sell. But again, I think there's better dollar pairs to get involved in, which specifically I think euro dollar is okay. I think pound dollar is also okay as well, and I think dollar yen is something that I'm looking at as well. Yes, I do think Kiwi Cat is sell, but I think the sell has happened already, so you gotta be careful here. Even if it develops a correction here, you just have to be careful because the sell has already happened, right? It's kind of what we talked about earlier, is that because we're at the bottom of this current structure here, so you gotta be careful whether or not we're going to get continuation, or we're just gonna stall here and eventually lead to kind of a bullish up move here because we're at the bottom here. So all you have to be careful is if we can just break down here followed by continuation, then I think that's much better sell to put in. But whereas if it just kind of consolidate here, you just have to be careful that there's a tendency where price is at the low now, it could potentially reverse back up once more. Euro pound sell, I don't think I'm interested in this. It's a little bit irregular price that's developing here, which I don't really like. I would prefer a little bit less kind of the sideways consolidation. Remember when price was pushing up here, I think there's a bunch of you guys saying that it should be a buy to the top or maybe just continue upwards. Then I always talk about that. I consider what's going on the higher time frame. This looks like more of a bearish push down. This looks like a more of a bearish kind of a continuation price. So I wasn't looking to buy anywhere, even to just hit the top here and then reverse, which is kind of what's happening here, right? Some of you guys were looking for a buy here, just really didn't continue here to continue the buy, whereas had a more sharp push to the downside. So this could be a structure here, but it's a little bit too wide and too sideways that I don't really like. I think the bias here is a sell, but I'm not really seeing an entry. I'm not really seeing any development that would suit me for a sell. But again, my bias here is looking for a sell, right? This is more looking like the sell is continuation. So if you have any entries that you're looking at or anything, of course, the bias here to me is more leaning towards the downside, okay? What do you mean by market sessions work? I'm not sure what that means, market sessions. But again, I have countless videos here that you're going to learn for free, right? If you just watch every single videos on all these risk management, all the price action structures and patterns, this basically will explain everything that you have questions in, to be honest. So I think the best is probably watching these workshop videos. They're hours and hours long. They're going to explain everything that you may have question in. Pound Swiss, long or short, my friend? You gotta make sure you put in long or short. At times you enter high risk, high reward. At times you prefer low risk, low reward. You need to explain that more because I always look for higher probability setups. I'm not sure what you mean. I prefer low risk, low reward entry. Every single entry is always that I look for is at least 3-1 or more. So low risk is low reward. I don't understand that because I'm always looking for 3-1 or more, right? So I'm not sure what that means. Kiwi Swiss short. Again, my bias is more looking for buy here, right? I think it's just the previous talk was about this as well. I think my bias here is still a buy here, right? So I see this as an impulsive move. I see this as a larger correction. And then I see this as an impulsive move breaking out here. So all that left is I see this more as a continuation to go higher. Now, if it doesn't break up, if it doesn't form correction, then I don't enter here, okay? It's just that. So if some of you guys are looking for sells, go ahead and follow it, right? It's not right or wrong here, guys, right? If you're looking for a sell, if you see this as a sell or maybe you see this as a sell, follow it accordingly, right? Because the last thing you want to do is kind of hearing me saying that it's a buy and then you don't end up entering your plan or whatever and then just to watch the trade breaks down and then getting upset at me because I said it's a long. Well, I said it's a long only if it follows through with the long, if it develops into a long entry that I'm looking for. If this does not develop, then no entry for me, right? It's that simple. But I personally, for me, my plan, I'm not looking to sell here, okay? Market session, yeah, London, Tokyo, New York. This is quite common. You don't really need a video for that, my friend. Everything's on Google. You can just search, right? There is not really a session that's better than this session. The most busiest will be London or New York and then Asia, right? But doesn't mean that in the Asian session price doesn't move, right? So there's not it's not specific session that's better than another, because in all three sessions the price will be moving and it's volatile in general, right? Um, but you should generally understand the London session starts around 7 o'clock GMT or so, maybe to around 13 GMT, something like that. And then New York is around that time. It overlaps a little bit, 13 to about 20, I think, 20 or 21, 20 I would say. And then Asia session starts around 22 to about 5 or so, something like that. So these are the general session, but it's not exact, right? Because the market's open 24 hours, right? So sometimes these sessions overlap. So it's not anything that's specific that's more than one. From my years of experience, it's though they're all pretty much the same, right? But if I have to really say, then I would say London and New York is always going to be the most volatile or more movement, and then Asia session, right? So 3 entries at a time. My question was, what do you look at when you're choosing which one to go for? Not choosing one, it's whatever that's offered, right? So I think that's probably what you mistake on is what that's available, guys. It's you're not always going to see all 3 entries working out, right? You're not always going to see. This is the prime example of, let's look at cat yen here where I entered this sell. It's when I was looking at this sell here, I'm basically waiting for a confirmation here, which we did, and we look for confirmation sell, which we did, right? So it's not what I look for, it's what is given by me at the time, right? So this is the cat yen sell that I took. This is a reversal entry that works out, right? About 5 to 1 or so. You can easily play a breakout entry, but I already in the first entry, so there's no point in me taking the breakout entry. But if I miss this one, the breakout entry will be the second, and then a correction after breakout will be the third, right? So it's not what I choose, is what is available and what is available for me at the time, because I might be sleeping here that I can miss, and I might look for a second entry, the second entry that's available for me to take, right? So think about this is that I offer these entry, I teach these entry criteria, but it really is depending on you and your trading plan, which one you want to enter, and depending on if you're available at the time to enter it, right? If you're sleeping, then you'll not catch these entry because you'll miss it, but when you wake up, if the other entries are available, then you would take it accordingly, right? It's impossible for you to stay up 24 hours a day and trying to always catch reversal entries. Yes, reversal entries are going to give you the most risk reward, but you're not always going to catch them, and they're the most riskiest, right? So you got to think about what is suitable for your plan and your perspective, because sometimes you're going to miss them and sometimes you will catch them, right? So it's not I always choose reversal. If you want to ask me, I always actually enter correction after breakout. It's just what the price give me at the current situation, and make a decision by then. Alright, everyone, so that should be it. If there's no more other questions, that should be it for today, unless there's anything last minute that I can help. But I think that answer all the questions that's available, and that is it from me. Yeah, Herman, I'm just trying to get you to think outside the box. I know I say that term a lot. It's a lot of time I hear traders a little bit too tying with one concept and things. So just trying to be a little bit more open-minded, right? I teach all these entries, yes, but it doesn't mean you need to always, like people think like, oh, well, I always have to enter reversal entry because they give you the most reward. Yes, it gives you most reward, but it's also the riskiest, right? That's something you need to consider. And people think, well, breakout entry is always the worst because it has the bigger stop loss. Well, sometimes the trade can only give you a breakout entry. It just doesn't have a reversal order. It doesn't have a correction after breakout. The only entry available is a breakout entry, right? So you just, different market scenario, different market situation, we need to adapt to the market. We can't just thinking the market will do the same thing over and over again. It's like what I mentioned in my book, right? It's the reversal will happen first, and then the breakout, and then the correction after breakout. Sometimes all 3 entries will happen, sometimes only 2, sometimes only 1, and rare chance there will be 0, right? But it's not It's just that sometimes you'll see all three of them, sometimes you'll see none of them, right? So it's whatever the opportunity is given to us at the time. When I stream again, I'm gonna stream again on Wednesday on New York session, just like today's session. So if you have me on YouTube, you'll see my upcoming live stream always on below the tab. You'll see that over there, or you can see on TradingView. If you follow me on TradingView, my streams are always upcoming stream. There's always set up here, or you can just click community stream. You'll see the upcoming streams from me personally here. Or you can just, like I said, go on my TradingView page. Everything is here in streams wise. You can follow me on the previous streams and upcoming streams. They're all here as well. Okay. Is it possible to learn this skill without paying a mentor? I mean, everybody who follow me is like that, Augustine, right? Every single, if you might be new, kind of looking at me, but anybody who's being in my group or chat knows that everything I do here is free, right? At least information wise, you can learn everything for free, right? You just have to put in the time. You can't expect to buy somebody's course in a matter of 2 days you become an expert in trading. It's just not work that way, my friend. So even if you learn from the best strategy in the world, if you don't put in your time and effort to backtest and chart work, you're not going to be a consistent trader. Unfortunately, I'm giving you a raw fact right now. Other people may not give you this kind of fact because they want you to buy whatever they're selling. So they're always gonna tell you something like, if you learn from me, you're gonna be successful, blah 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 blah. Lure you in to sell you things. Whereas I'm telling you the truth about trading is, it doesn't matter who you buy your course lesson from or who you learn from. If you yourself don't put in time and effort, you're not going to be consistent. That's just an inevitable thing. But everything that I'm doing here, you can learn all for free in all my videos, everything on my TradingView, and everything in my Telegram, where I share all the educational video, all my analysis. Everything here is free, and most people are in here to learn for free. So if you're not willing to pay money, it's fine. I'm not charging you anything. Everything here is free. You can learn for free. But even if they're free, if you don't do your back test, if you don't put in your own work, it's unlikely you can be successful. Okay, I'm just giving you the raw facts, right? You might hear other people saying, hey, if you buy from me, I'll make sure you make this much return, this much profit. On the end of the day, they're just selling you things, right? So, it's up to you to believe what they say or believe what I said. I'm not here to alter your decision. Remind people about scammers. Yes, good point. So because there's a lot of scammers now to pretend they're me, so be careful. Okay, watch scammers who are impersonating me, because I would never message you out of nowhere to send or receive money. I would not offer you any type of signal, premium group, or anything like that, because I don't do that. Everything here is free. I do not offer any account management, so please understand that scammers target people like this. The most important part is I will never message you out of nowhere. Okay, so anybody pretending to be me with my same display picture, same avatar, same username, I would never message you. So right away, that should be a red sign if you see people messaging you, asking you to join their channels or group for money. Always double check with my actual account here or any of these official accounts I have. Don't fall for the scams. Unfortunately, the more I'm doing, the more of the scammers are trying to impersonate me, because they are just preying on victims. Okay, so be careful. I obviously can't stop what they're doing, but I can continuously warn others about this. Okay, so just watch out for things like that. Things like this is just not things I will do, right? And just be careful. All right. I went through US 30 already, my friend, if you missed it, so. Workshop video. Coming up with some topics here. If you have some topics, you're welcome to learn. Welcome to let me know. I'm still trying to put out a few topics, but I haven't come up with any at the moment. But if you have some topics that I haven't gone through, let me know as well. I can probably put into a workshop next time. But these are the ones that we talk about so far, right? Correction channels. Again, you will have to watch all my correction videos. There's a bunch here. Expanding structures, how to draw trend lines, how to use trend lines to identify price action structures and patterns. So this is probably one that you want to watch. And then every single continuation or reversal corrections, right? Wedging wedge, parallel channels, expanding structure, M and W style pattern, head and shoulder, double top, ascending, descending channel. All these are continuation or reversal correction that you can just learn on here. And whatever that I have in the workshop video also explains all most type of correction structures and things like that. You can watch them as well. So, my friend, I've been telling you to put long or short for like the whole time, right? If you want me to take a look at any of the pairs, put long or short instead of just giving me a pair, because I want to know what you're looking at as well, right? I'm not here to provide signals. I don't mind providing my analysis, but I want to know what direction you're looking at as well. So, just to go over last one, US 30, I mentioned this already. I would prefer for the price to break this previous low first, okay? Because this inverse head and shoulder didn't play out, just like on the lower time frame, didn't work out. So basically, I'm looking for price to break this previous low first and then continue afterwards, right? Because this previous low was where price kind of formed a bottom here. So you just have to be careful. But preferably, price will break the low here and then continue. That would be nice to see. I'm not giving long or short my splendor, right? It's just kind of what I mentioned. You need to have your own plan whether you want to enter long or short, right? It's not helpful if you just get a signal like this if you don't have your own plan and don't have your own analysis, right? This is what make traders better. And I fortunately, I'm going to use your example is I get these questions a lot, similar like what you just said. What do you think about US 30? Well, what do you think about US 30? Why don't you give me what you think first? Right, and then we can have an interaction like that. But simply hearing someone say buy or sell is not gonna help, right? So well, if you have your plan, again, you're just asking me, why don't you share your plan, right? What about US 100 I just mentioned? Or why don't you tell me long or short first, right? Am I streaming on multiple platforms? I am. I always stream on YouTube and TradingView at the same time. So TradingView and YouTube, I've been streaming on both platforms as how it is. So the questions are usually coming from YouTube, right? That's why you're not seeing the questions. But I also stream both. That's why, and most people are on YouTube watching it. That's why you don't see the questions. So. I'm not here to give signal, my friend. So whether you want to hold or sell your Ethereum, it's up to you, right? I already give my analysis earlier. So, all right. I'm gonna end the stream here, guys. It's been 2 hours already, so I hope everyone will see you guys all next Wednesday. I mean, this Wednesday coming up, I'll do the same stream on 14 o'clock GMT. So I hope to see you guys all next time. All right, and. Any other questions, let me know in the Telegram or ask them in my group chat. I have about 1,000+ people in my group chat where everyone share discussions, interaction, and things like that. You're welcome to join the group discussion if you want. This is all in here. I have about 1,000 people of us talking. Or if you just want all my analysis, this is the main one where I offer channels and things like that. I mean, offer my analysis. You can just join this one if you just want to hear my interactions. But if you want to interact with others, join this one so you can talk to other people as well. All right, so yeah, have a good night, everyone. Nice to see you guys. Have a good day, good afternoon, or good evening where you guys are. And see you guys all next time. All right, thank you very much.